Hello everyone, this is Professor Reimer. This video is for my world history class on Wednesday, December 9th and Thursday, December 10th. It's entitled Unit 4, DOL 4, Middle Ages Come to an End in Europe. And in this lesson, we will explain how the Crusades, the Black Death, and the 100 Years' War contributed to the end of medieval Europe by creating a timeline. Lots to do. Let's jump right in. First, let's get started, as we always do, with a preview. So there are lots of misconceptions about the Crusades. Some people do not understand the reasons for and motivations behind them. Fictional depictions of the Crusades in books often give people the wrong impression about the historical facts of the Crusades. In the table below, decide whether each statement is a fact or a misconception. So pause, read each of these four statements, and next to the numbers, write a T or an F. Do that now. All right, here are the facts. So number 1, that's false. Number 2 and 3 are true, and number 4, false. So we're going to clear up some of these misconceptions about not just the Crusades, but also the 100 Years' War and the Black Death. But before we get into how they brought an end to medieval Europe, let's remember a bit about what's happening in Europe in the Middle Ages. So it is a series of competing kingdoms. We have the Holy Roman Empire, the kingdoms of France, Hungary and Poland, right? That are just beginning to form these states. But remember, so much of life was local, and the kings did not have much power. Remember our feudal structure, right? Here, this level, these church officials and the nobles, they are the ones in possession of the power. They have the land, they have the money in society, and they are supported by a class of warriors known as knights who exchange their fighting for perks like horses, food, places to live that the noble gives them. Right? The peasants also live in a reciprocal relationship. Theirs less awesome. They are giving the Lord their labor as well as some of the produce of their land in exchange for his protection, but their lives are often short and not that pleasant. So that's the situation. That's what the Middle Ages, very, very briefly, are like. So we're going to explore 3 key events that bring it to an end. And for each of these events, we're going to practice a skill of causation. Okay, so here's a cause and effect chart. In the center, this is the area of analysis, the Crusades. And so I've given you what to read there at the top, chapter 12, lesson 2. So you're going to go explore that lesson and find as many causes and effects as you can. I know I put 3 on each side. So this is the cause side, this is the effect side. But that's just because I couldn't fit any more on my screen. So there are more than 3. So let's turn there now and see what we can figure. Don't forget all the things I taught you about how to be excellent readers of nonfiction works like history textbooks you skim, etc. So we've already done all that. This first paragraph, and we're looking for causes. What causes? Things that led to, things that produced, things that inspired, things that were the beginnings of. Right? There's lots of different synonyms for causes. So pay attention to those keywords when you're looking for causes. Here we go. The Crusades started when the Byzantine Emperor Alexius I Comnenus asked for help against the Seljuk Turks. The Seljuk Turks were Muslims who had taken control of Asia Minor. Pope Urban II, who responded to the request, saw an opportunity to provide leadership for a great cause. That cause was rallying Europe's warriors to free Jerusalem and the Holy Land from people who Christians viewed as infidels or believers and Muslims. There are 2 causes right there. So here's how I added them to my chart. Right, and again, I'm shortening the words, or I put them in my own words because that's what you do in your notes. Byzantine Empire asked for help against the Seljuk Turks. That's one cause. There was also a desire to capture Jerusalem and the Holy Land. There are others. So pause the video, go find them now. Join me back here. All right, remember guys, we are explaining how the Crusades, which you just read about, the Black Death, which you're about to read about, and the 100 Years' War contributed to the end of medieval Europe by creating a timeline. We are also practicing our skill of cause and effect. In the section of the textbook on the Crusades, you looked at some causes. You're going to do that, and effects. You're going to do that again for the Black Death. Last time I modeled how to find causes. This time I'm going to model how to find effects. Notice it's chapter 12, lesson 4. So we're skipping lesson 3. So here I am back to the textbook, skipping over to lesson 4. Yeah, and don't forget about the cool videos, guys, and the visuals in the textbook. Lots of good stuff there. So remember I said we're looking for effects. I'm going to model effects. And look, the guiding question. What social and economic effects did the Black Death have on Europe? In other words, what happened because of, what happened as a result of, what did the Black Death produce? That's what we are looking. And typically you find causes before effects. So we're going to skip ahead. Oh, look, economic consequences. Look, ding, ding, ding. Out of a total European population of 75 million, possibly more, 1/3 of the population died. Look, it's highlighted. Anti-Semitism, hostility towards Jews. There was economic trade decline, shortage of workers caused a dramatic rise in so many here, guys. So let's see what I wrote. Yeah, loss of 1/3 of Europe's population, anger towards Jews. There were many others in that section. So pause the video, go back and read it, and add not just the effects, but the causes as well. All right, you've read about the Crusades, the causes and effects. You've read about the Black Death, causes and effects. We're going to end in the same lesson, lesson 4 of chapter 12, with the 100 Years' War, causes and effects. I'm not going to give you any examples. I want you to do it all on your own, but I'm happy to check your notes in the chat. Let me also say that as you're looking for causes and effects, think about our themes. We haven't talked about them in a while. Our get sick themes. What are they? They are government, economic, technology, social, interactions with the environment, and culture. Right? Oftentimes there are many causes and effects related to these themes. So pause the video and go find causes and effects of the 100 Years' War. By the way, I didn't say this earlier, but these, you can very easily make these charts in your notes. I mean, if you really want to print them, you can, but listen, you make a box in the center, then you have lines on the left, you have lines on the right. Causes lead to the event, and then that event causes other events that we call effects. You don't need to make it too fancy. All right, let's get to the processing. All right, remember I said it's going to be a timeline. We're going to move away from writing. I was right. So I want you to create a timeline with the seven most important events. So you get to be an historian here, and you get to choose which you think are the most important events that contributed to the end of medieval Europe. Now, we talked about 3 main ones, right? Crusades, Black Death, 100 Years' War. But the causes and effects of those big events are also their own small events, right? Causes lead to events. Events have effects. Those effects are events that lead to other events, right? And so, there are at least 3 big ones, but there are many others that you read about that you could put on your timeline. You need to choose 7. So what must your timeline have? It must have the following. The events must be placed in chronological order, and in other words, in the times that they happened, right? One that happened first, then second, then third, etc. Each event must include the year or years. Sometimes events like the 100 Years' War took longer, so you need to put those years on your timeline as well. Also, you need to include, or each event must include, a 1-sentence summary, right? So tell me as briefly as you can what happened in this event, and then include a symbol or illustration related to it. It could be a symbol like an image that represents the event, or it could be, you could actually draw the event, your choice. Speaking of drawing, if you want to do this by hand on a piece of paper, you can go for it. Take a picture of it and then upload it to the assignment. Or if you want to make it in an app on your Chromebooks, that's great as well. I don't care, but I will be grading you on these 4 criteria. All right. To conclude, here's an example. So very basic timeline. Notice each stick is an event 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Your timeline has to have 7 events, has to have a year. So here's 1095, my first year. Pope Urban II calls for the first crusade. 1 sentence summary of the event, and I got this image of the Crusaders sacking a castle from our textbook, and I included it down below. All right, how you organize the timeline is up to you, but that needs to be clear. I like to see the dates first. That way they're in order. But if you want to put the image on top and then the words down below, have some creative freedom to do that. Okay, that is all for this lesson. I will see you in our Google Meets and next time.